the Everything But Politics podcast.
All right, we are back, and welcome back to another edition of the Everything But Politics podcast. And if this is your first time joining us, my name is Merrick Leeser, alongside my brother Evan Leeser, and joining us today, online fitness coach, entrepreneur, and the quad father, Michael Sheedy, alongside my good friend and his client, Michael Bloom. Guys, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Let's do it.
Michael Squared, thanks for having us.
Well said.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome, boys. Michael, why don't we get started? If you can give our listeners a little background into who you are, the journey of the last decade for yourself, and what you do currently.
Yeah, man. So the journey over the past decade and who I am, has been quite a journey. I'm highly motivated, and I've been really addicted to not just fitness, but to entrepreneurship. And I think it's been a great marriage for me, with how I go about, promoting on my social media, just because my ideal clientele is typically entrepreneurs. So naturally, I'm that person. So it's really easy for me to be organic and authentically myself. And over the last 10 years, I scaled a personal training business here in Las Vegas, where I'm originally from and still live as well. And that was something that I found a lot of fulfillment with. And currently what I do with online coaching is truly what I'm passionate about. Like I enjoy, even being able to do stuff like this is just amazing. So, 10 years ago, I was a personal trainer, in a gym, kind of growing and scaling my business there. But then I realized, like, if I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life, I don't want to be in a gym, for 70 hours a week. It was getting, as much as I loved it, it was just getting very, monotonous. And then I, just being on social media, I always looked up to, you see these guys, these influencers and fitness personalities, they're traveling, they got the Lambos, they got, all this stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm a personal trainer. Why don't I drive a Lambo yet? Right. So I knew that there was things that I didn't know yet. And that's when I really started getting, interested and obsessed with like the online space and really what's capable. And, we all know where the world is nowadays. There's so many different ways and avenues to be able to both monetize, but also, present a product or a service to the world. And now we have this incredible tool with social media that allows us to connect. Like, we're all here today because of that reason, right? So, 2.5 years ago, I started my online fitness coaching business. I was able to scale that pretty quickly as well. I'm a massive believer in mentorship and coaching as well. So I've paid my fair share into coaching and mentorship to help me with a blueprint where other people have succeeded in the past, and grew my social media following to a decent place as well. Really, putting out valuable content consistently and challenging myself. In the last 10 years, I've competed as well in bodybuilding competitions. That's something that I was really into at one point. And then I decided, I was like, I'm not going to be Mr. Olympia. I don't want to put on 30 pounds of muscle. Shout out to, Chris Bumstead and the guys that are doing it at the top level. Like, those guys are fully committed and they live that life 24/7, which is great. But I realized, like, I was okay with just, being in incredible shape, but I still wanted to be able to run my business and be able to have other pursuits outside of just bodybuilding. And that's when I think my business also kind of took off some more as well. So I think that's a good background. I'm sure we can get deeper, but that's kind of where I'm at today.
Michael, what was the initial spark that got you going to the gym?
Just honestly, I was a super skinny kid. I think the story is similar for some people, right? Like, you get bullied or you get told you're skinny. I was like 150 pounds playing high school football at 6 feet tall. So I was really, really skinny. And I just remember, like the varsity guys and the people that I would practice with, I would get hit on the football field, and I got stingers, I got a concussion. Like, I was like, okay, I need to put some weight on. So I really just didn't even know what I was doing. I just got into my little apartment gym that I had as a tool, and started taking, weight training class. I started taking, like when creatine first came out, they had this like this lemonade powder, but you would drink it all day. And I just like remember drinking that for like 3 months straight. I just started eating. I would eat double portions. Whatever anybody else would eat, I would eat double what they were eating because I just figured, okay, if I eat double the amount everybody else is eating, I'm going to gain weight. So in the summer between my junior year and senior year of high school, I put on 30 pounds. So I went up to like 180. And then I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm getting more attention from girls. I'm getting more respect from my peers, and I'm not getting hit as hard on the football field. And that's where I was like, oh, this is fun. I really like this. And then I competed in my first, I hired a personal trainer and competed in my first like men's physique bodybuilding competition when I was just turned 20 years old. And that's where the passion really took off at that point.
Awesome.
With passion at 20, you start lifting in high school football. What is that, 16, 17 years old?
About 17 years old, I think, is when the first time, it wasn't the first time I picked up a weight, but it was the first time that I consistently started doing resistance training without knowing what I was doing. I literally would just do chest press every day. That's it.
With dumbbells or bench?
I would do the plate loaded chest press. Literally at my I had an apartment gym, living at home with my mom. We lived in an apartment. There was a gym. It had chest press. It probably had dumbbells, but I just love this chest press machine. So I would just max out on it literally every day. And then eventually, started putting some muscle on. So,
and from what I understand, you only became a personal trainer, a certified personal trainer, because you wanted to learn. You didn't want to be a personal trainer, but you just wanted to learn about being a personal trainer. Is that correct?
Yeah. So what's interesting is like I got my gallbladder removed when I was 17. That was one of the reasons I was actually so skinny was I would have trouble eating. And then one summer, it just got to the point to where every time I would eat, I would get nauseous. So I was like sick. I was skinny. This was right before I started to put weight on. I got the gallbladder removed. And then that, from there, I was able to actually eat and not get nauseous. But going into then coming out of the gallbladder surgery, your diet has to be different. You can't eat like I literally can't eat the same way other people eat, or else I have like digestive issues and it's not pretty. So,
wait, Michael, can you quickly explain what the gallbladder's purpose is?
Yeah, so the gallbladder produces bile that's released into your stomach and typically your intestines to help digest fats. So if you have a gallbladder that's not working efficiently, your body's not going to, you get nauseous, you get digestive issues, and that's what was happening to me. So as soon as they removed it, basically those issues disappeared. But then if you don't have a gallbladder, your liver produces bile straight into your intestines. So I've learned this over time because I wanted to be better. I wanted to understand my body. And I remember looking at a magazine of Steve Cook, or I saw him on Instagram. I was like, dude, I want to look like Steve Cook. This guy was like the pioneer in the fitness industry. I'm like, but there's something he knows, or there's things he knows that I don't, right? And for me to get to the highest level, I need to understand what these guys are doing. So for me, I started, a personal development journey, shortly after doing the bodybuilding competition. I was like, okay, I got last place. I got last place in my first competition I did, literally dead last. And I was lean and I was looking good, but I just don't think I had enough fundamentals down. So I was like, okay, I read a book called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. It was a philosophy book, and it was basically to summarize it, it tells you that you are the maker of your reality. And I think we all kind of have those when we're growing up, like we're confused. We don't know. We don't really have like a solid direction. We don't understand yet that we are in control of our reality. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to take this in my own hands. I'm going to educate myself to the highest level possible. So I was like, all right, well, the highest level of education in fitness is a personal trainer. So I paid for like a $750, I probably put it on a credit card, paid for a $750 personal training certification through the National Academy of Sports Medicine. And I just read the book to comprehend it. And I had never to that point picked up information so quickly. And I realized that because I didn't excel in school, I wasn't like a straight A student. I wasn't a bad student. I didn't care what I was learning about. I wasn't passionate about, the periodic table, right? Like that's not something that fired me up, or the history, or, as much as that's important, However, when I started studying fitness, I was like, holy shit, like understanding nutrition and how it influences your body and how it helps you to put muscle on and how this vitamin and mineral can actually improve your sleep and your brain and your neural pathways and how exercise influences your stress. So all these things I started to pick up. I comprehended the book. I passed the test on the first try. And then I got fired from a job that I was working at because I was still not as disciplined as I possibly could be. And I had an ego at 20. And I was like, you know what? I'm living on my own. I need to make some income. I'm going to go work at a gym. And I got a personal training job at Gold's Gym where I was making like $8 like an hour, basically. It was like $16 an hour, but $8 for 30 minutes. And that's where I started to realize that, wait, I do enjoy helping other people achieve, improvements in their health and wellness as well.
Michael, I want to talk a little bit about nutrition. Having a gallbladder surgery, what are things you can and can't eat now?
Here's the thing. I can eat
Mm.
whatever I want, but there's
Yeah.
consequences. There's consequences. So like digestive health is something I'm really big on. I don't talk about it a ton in my content, but once I start working with clients, whether they know it or not, systematically, the way that I operate in regards to the nutritional principles that I implement into their programs improves their gut health. And when your gut health when your stomach is your second brain. We produce actually,
Mm.
I think the majority of our serotonin from our stomach. So if you have indigestion, bloating, heartburn, diarrhea, upset stomach, you're typically probably going to have higher cortisol, higher stress, poor sleep, poor hormonal balance. So that being said, I have always had to, since that instance, really pay attention to how I feel. How is my digestion? I'm very, very in tune with my body. So I know what works for me and I know what doesn't. So yes, I can eat everything else anybody else eats, but I have more I have to be very careful with how I go about that. So like if I, for example, like a fried Oreos, oh man, count me out for
Yeah.
a day after I had that, So like fried foods I can't really consume
Yeah.
in copious amounts. I would say even alcohol, like if I consume alcohol a couple days in a row, I typically have, I think, more inflammation because of that. So yeah.
So, for the listeners of the podcast, what are some remedies or foods you would maybe suggest for people to improve their gut health if they may be having issues right now?
Yeah, I think a lot of gut health issues are two things. Um, Number one, it's low stomach acid. Well, there's three things: low stomach acid, too acidic, which it's more than likely low stomach acid, or you're acidic, you're very inflamed, which are both can happen with low acidity and high acidity, and then stress. Stress is actually predominantly more cumbersome as far as the causes for gut health than anything else. So like if you find somebody that's extremely stressed, I can almost guarantee they're having digestive issues, like guaranteed. So, but stress isn't just active stress, it's also passive stress. So that means like, how's your sleep? Are you getting in exercise? Because that also increases stress tolerance, right? But Going back to your question, eliminating stress or decreasing stress, I think is huge. Not just active stress, but on your central nervous system. Recovery modalities, sauna, cold plunge, deep breathing, meditation, grounding, red light. All of those things help to bring down your stress and really calm your central nervous system down, the sympathetic nervous system. And then as far as food wise, I feel recently, it's funny, the carnivore diet, which we all know about, which has been very popularized, which is
Totally.
just steak and eggs and fruit. Which I'm like, I love steak and eggs, but what's missing from that diet, and I think there's been some like demonization around vegetables, and vegetables are massive, not only for improving the alkalinity in our stomach, which helps us to have a healthy stomach acid level, but also for digestion because you have fiber, both soluble and insoluble fiber that improves the way your body assimilates nutrients and adds density to your food. Because if you're just eating steak every meal, that's not going to be enough bulk in regards to fiber to improve the alkalinity. And most people, because they're high stress, have low stomach acid. So outside of that, like another like trick that I've used with clients, or even if somebody who's suffering from digestive issues, is apple cider vinegar.
Oh, I take
a-
apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, apple cider vinegar is great. The reason why it works really well is it's unpasteurized, so it does have natural probiotics in it. And typically, if you have digestive issues, it's because you have low stomach acid from high stress. Adding an apple cider vinegar 1 ounce, if you dilute it with 4 ounces of water before 2 meals a day, could actually massively improve your gut health as well.
Wait, so let me give you the breakdown of what I'm consuming. And honestly, it's not every day. It's more like 3 or 4 times a week. So I'll take a solo cup, that size cup, half, like maybe 4 to 5 ounces of coconut water, a shot of apple cider vinegar in a shot glass, and then from there I'll take about either 2 limes, 2 lemons, and 2 oranges, or 3 limes and 3 lemons, and squeeze them in, stir it up, and drink it. What do you think about that?
That's great. Yeah. I mean, lemon is the same thing, right? Like, so the way that you can uh typically if you're getting like acid reflux, that means you have high stomach acid. If you have like bloating, that's typically low stomach acid. So lemons actually improve acidity in your stomach, and lemons help to alkaline your acidity as well. So I do love lemons, apple cider vinegar, and water in the morning is a great concoction for improving acidity and gut health.
Well, so for me, I usually like to do it towards the end of the day after I've already had my last meal, kind of let the digestion, kind of, I don't know how it works. I can't like explain it probably as well as you could, but let it kind of filter out everything I've consumed throughout the day, letting that digestion kind of letting the acidity of both what's naturally in my stomach and the apple cider vinegar kind of do its job. But the
Mhm.
thing that I have questioned is that too much acidity with both?
No, most people, I would say 70 to 75% of people have low stomach acid and lack alkalinity. And the acid actually improves your alkalinity, right? The acid, what level of acid are we at in your stomach? And if you have high inflammation, you're going to be in a place where your acidity is high. So we need to get that to
Mm.
a level that your body has a good range at, which is called being alkaline. Happens when we're eating antioxidant rich foods. If you're eating a lot of fried foods, alcohol, you're typically going to have you could have low stomach acid, but also be not alkaline, and that's where you have poor gut health.
What are your thoughts on raw milk and bone broth for gut health?
Um, Bone broth is incredible. Bone broth is
Mm.
something that I actually use. Thank you for bringing that up. I totally forgot because it's just a part of my daily regimen. I drink bone broth every single day, and my digestion is spot on, and
What
that's something I've had Michael do.
do you make it or do you get it from somewhere?
So I get the Kettle and Fire organic beef bone broth. And I get that from, like, you can get it Whole Foods or online or whatever. But I actually add probably about 1/4 to half a cup to two of my meals throughout the day. Bone broth has glutamine in it. Glutamine is an amino acid that also heals and improves your gut lining as well. So it's something that you can utilize for gut health. Now, honestly, I'm not going to speak on something I don't know a lot of deep esoteric knowledge on. Raw milk isn't something I've really gotten into. I I tend to try to stay away from trends because I think there's so many like trends that everybody picks up. No disrespect to anybody who
Mhm.
does the raw milk thing, but I just think it's just like I've never had raw milk. Um, I don't see a reason to implement it for me personally, but there's a lot of nutrients found in raw milk, right? And that's going to be unpasteurized. So I could see some benefits, being happening from utilizing that. But also everybody digests dairy differently. So some people might do really well with raw milk, some people might not, and you don't know until you start drinking it. So I tend to stay away from dairy personally. Just personal preference. Also because of I can't consume high fats. So
Yep.
Yeah, and as for bone broth, similar to Michael, I put it on 3 or 4 of my meals, and then I honestly take swigs out of the Kettle and Fire beef bone broth bottle throughout the day, and I feel like it helps me digest my food. It helps the food go down a lot better. And then it also makes the food taste better if you mix it in, whether it's a bowl or something like that. And then as for the raw milk, I haven't had milk since I was a little kid, and I don't plan to. I feel like it messes with my stomach, and I'm sure the raw milk has benefits to it, but I've seen greater benefits from beef bone broth.
Interesting. Michael, let's shift gears here. You know, we're talking a lot about nutrition, which we'll get back into, but I want to talk about Michael, the entrepreneur, right? You're 20 years old, you get certified. At what point, when did you have the light bulb go off that I don't want my life to be in this fucking gym every fucking day?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think the entrepreneur, kind of like journey, because my personal training journey was entrepreneurial. I started my LLC in 2017. I had a team of people working for me. I had an admin assistant, I had a coach, I had my system set up. So it was pretty dialed. I would say I was getting some business acumen at that time. And of course, I've always had mentors. So, I had a mentor in the personal training space, somebody who was doing a lot better than me, and I learned a lot from him. And that's why I'm a big advocate of mentorship, in any area. I think there's always somebody that's done something you want to do. So I think it was around, I want to say, because I'm 31 now, it's been about 2.5 years. I want to say when I was about 28. And I made, I did really well as a personal trainer, like multiple 6 figures as a personal trainer. But I was like, okay, I'm not in the house that I want to live in. Like, I'm not in the house of my dreams. I'm not driving a 911 Porsche yet. So I know that I'm not at the income level that I have a vision for, and that I was, I feel like if you can see something in your mind, it's meant for you, right? Like, I know that I don't want to be the president of the United States. That's not in my future. So that journey is not meant for me. But I also knew that not only could I impact more people needed to hear my message, but I also had more that I wanted to obtain outside of personal training. And that's when I originally wanted to go online to help other personal trainers to scale their business. And that was like the idea that I had. But I hit up this business coaching mentorship, and I told them on my idea, and they said, why not just become an online coach, online fitness coach? And I was like, they're like, dude, you would crush it. And sure enough, yeah, my first month online, I doubled my income. So it was definitely the right move. Because now, since I've been doing this for quite some time, I'm now helping other online coaches, because I've had so many people reach out to me and say, hey, how do you do this? Because I really have a passion, not just for fitness, but I love helping people in business as well, because entrepreneurship is something I just really enjoy. It's fundamentally changed my life, right? Like, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing today at the level that I'm doing it at while still being a personal trainer, being able to put all of my time into, my online business, the marketing, the social media. So I'd say right at about 28, I just kind of was like, you know what, I'm going to do something different. The idea happened. But I think it's funny because all of us have a vision, right? But sometimes the path isn't completely clear. We know where we want to go, but how we get there isn't what we think it is in the beginning. And that's kind of, I feel like, been my journey this whole time,
Well, in that first year of being really your own business, right? How did you scale?
Which one?
Michael Sheedy Fitness online as an online coach.
How did I scale? So I've done a great job intuitively creating a very strong personal brand. I've always been kind of outspoken and autonomous, and like even when COVID was happening, I was outspoken, but I think that helped me. I think it helped me because people really resonate with people that they trust, know, and like, and they want to work with you for that reason. So I've always been outwardly opinionated and not afraid to ruffle feathers. So for that reason, I think my personal brand had a lot of strength before I went online, and that did help me. And I already had a lot of creativity when it came to content. So before even creating content for online coaching, I was already creating content in the fitness space and building kind of this following of people. So when I launched my online program, it was almost seamless. Just the actions in which that I go about in regards to honestly, like, client acquisition is just, it's different, right? I work with, people all across the United States, which you can't do when you're a personal trainer. So paying for mentorship helped tremendously. I think that helped a lot. Then I connected with a lot of other people in the space, and I've been in masterminds. And then I started getting addicted to the education and paying for it. So I traveled to Miami for a mastermind, learned from these guys that were doing it at a high level. And then I got totally, my eyes were open to this space that's absolutely endless of what people are doing online. And so just learning from a lot of different people, paying for education, applying myself. I quit my personal training job after about 6 months of being online because the income online was higher than my in-person business. And I realized, and this is the hardest thing for people to do, but you have to do it at the right time, is kind of cutting off that anchor, right? Not having, putting your back against the wall and your only option is to succeed. And I've done that a couple times throughout the last 10 years. And I think that helped me a lot as well. And then from there, as my business grew, I took on a couple team members, and that's kind of helped me to scale it to where it is today.
Talk to
So
us. Go ahead, Michael.
as it relates to pivoting to online coaching, how did you build that base of clients? Like, did your in-person clients switch over to online with you, or how did you get your kind of initial online clients?
Yeah. Again, it's just, I think I had a strong kind of like, I only had 3,000 followers on Instagram when I first started, but I think the 3,000 followers I had, they were very like, they were watching everything because I would post a ton of my fitness journey. I would post, motivational quotes. Like, you see the stuff I post. It's all stuff that I resonate with. I have a lot of conviction behind the things that I post. So I think when I launched that offer, people were all over it, and I think it blew up from there. And then just relentless work ethic. I think like nothing can be achieved without being like fully obsessed and enveloped in what you're doing.
Bloom, can you walk us and our listeners through your journey with Michael and how you guys met?
Yeah, for sure. So Michael talks about his marketing. Well, he actually came up on my Instagram Reels page. And prior to
Sick.
working with him, I was working with another coach who actually had, I think, 450,000 followers. And I was like, oh, this guy's credible. And then I came across Michael, and he really seemed like a real person. And so I reached out to Michael and I was like, you have really great transformations. Every single one of them is killer. Like, I'd love to work with you and learn more. And we hopped on a call, and the rest is history. And as far as working with Michael, it's a one-on-one mentorship essentially. And Michael talks about the value of mentorship, and I've gotten nothing but straight value. I mean, he completely changed my life, but I have access to Michael kind of 24/7. I'm able to bounce questions off him about like my personalized plan. He laid out a nutrition program like he was talking about earlier in the call, about dialing in on your gut health and increasing your metabolism, and whatnot. And so in addition to the nutrition, I've also learned a lot about lifting. Michael, I think it'd be valuable if you could tell our listeners about time under tension training and why it may be better than just throwing around big weights in the gym.
Yeah, for
Michael,
sure.
before you do that, what does it mean to hear Michael say that?
Dude, it means the world, man. Yeah, it puts a smile on my face because like that's like I'm in this to help people, like I naturally enjoy, like I like talking to people, just like with anything else, like there's people that I'm just like, okay, I don't have as much patience for, but like naturally, I really enjoy talking to people, and I enjoy helping people. And I have a passion myself for fitness, which it changed my life. I was undisciplined, when I was a teenager, and fitness is what got me on track. It's what changed my life. And I could have stayed where I was at, or I could have done something different. And I chose the path of the most resistance, right? Getting uncomfortable. And that's what I teach my clients. If you want true fulfillment and happiness, it doesn't come without discipline. And so to hear him tell me that I changed his life, I mean, that's my goal. I want to change people's lives. I want for the better,
And to see, obviously the time under tension works because Michael's transformation is fucking incredible. The picture, the before and after, I mean, Michael knows. I know how hard Michael works in the gym every morning. So to see the results, I don't know how the time period, but to see that in real life is pretty cool. So time under tension works. Walk us through what it is.
Yeah, so time under tension is ultimately a modality that I've adopted in my own training style. And then it's something that I really started to dive deeper in with my clients, I would say over the last like 4 years. And I've noticed with time under tension training specifically, not only are my clients getting quicker results, sustainable results, but they're also not getting injured. And I have quite a few people that come to me before we start training that have dealt with nagging injuries, or they currently have an injury, or their body composition hasn't changed and they've hit a plateau. And it's typically because they're either following a bodybuilding split, push-pull legs, and they're still around that 6 to 8 rep range because they think that's what's going to build muscle. Muscle isn't built in the 6 to 8 rep range. That's more of like you're shocking your central nervous system when you're doing, like, if you're doing a bench press, right, and you're doing 6 reps, you're not doing 6 reps slow like this. You're doing 6 reps like 1, 2, 3, 4. So that set took you 10 seconds. There, like, the amount of tension on your muscles is minimal. The amount of load on your joints is maximum, right? So not only is your risk for injury high when you're lifting heavy in the 6 to 8 rep range, you're also not efficiently building muscle. Do I think it's a bad idea for every once in a while to hit those rep ranges? Yeah, but if that's predominantly the main modality you use when you exercise, not only are you not going to build muscle as quickly as my clients will, and I will, but your risk of injury is a lot higher as well, because your form isn't going to be as good. So the modality of time under tension is when you're putting the muscle under tension in the eccentric portion. Typically, you can also do this in the concentric. Eccentric would be the negative, the lowering of an exercise here. Concentric would be the positive, right? Or the pushing back to your starting position, wherever that's coming from. But where I really find a lot of results is in the negative portion, because, for example, so let's take the same chest exercise, right? And let's do a dumbbell press instead. Typically, if you did dumbbell press, maybe you get 6 reps with, let's just say, 100 pounds, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 seconds. Or I'm going to lower the weight by, let's say, 30%. I'm going to take some 70-pound dumbbells, which typically I could probably do 20 reps with. But instead, I'm going to do a time under tension set or rep of 4 seconds. So now I get, let's say, 12 reps in with a 4-second negative. That set just went from a 6-second load, 6-second time under tension, to now basically like 50 seconds to a minute. So not only are you pushing more blood in the muscle, you're tearing more muscle fibers down. I'm using a lighter weight. I'm controlling the movement. I'm contracting the muscle. I'm going to get more done in 30 minutes in the gym doing that than somebody would in 2 hours lifting with 6 to 8 reps.
Wow. And this is all workouts, all resistance training with dumbbells or barbells is time under tension.
Machines, everything you can do time under tension with. And I have it programmed in to a lot of exercises that I have my clients do.
And how were you introduced to time under tension?
Yeah, so I've like I said, I've been under the tutelage of a couple different mentors, being in the gym for some time, being taught that going slower. And if you watch most bodybuilders outside of Ronnie Coleman, who's just a genetic freak, who, we see where he is today, unfortunately, yes. he has his, but that's from lifting too heavy. Listen, I don't care. I don't do ego lifting. I'm not in the gym to impress anybody, but my physique is impressive. My functionality is impressive, right? Like, I may not be lifting as much as the next guy, but I can tell you I'm not getting injured and I can do this for the rest of my life. So I picked it up. I picked it up from watching other people that were putting on muscle, pretty quickly.
What are your thoughts on just body weight training?
Calisthenics. Yeah. I mean, I think it has its place. You're not going to put on as much muscle as training with actual, resistance training. But body weight training is a great way to, I think everybody should at least do some sort of body weight training. Like, I'm really big on push-ups and pull-ups. I think we should be maxing out on those and really just utilizing your body weight, being able to pull yourself up, being able to do, max push-ups. I think even getting, like, I've functionally trained and been able to teach myself how to do like an L sit to a handstand just to say that I could do it. And I think those have rippling effects because they build out your shoulders. But if all you're doing is calisthenic trainings, you're not going to be kind of have that look that I think a lot of people like, which is like kind of like the superhero look is what I like to call it. Like, you got the X frame,
the Dorito
shoulders. Yeah. The Dorito back, like with the legs. That doesn't happen with calisthenics, but I'm not against it. I think it's something that can be worked into your training, but I don't think it's advantageous. It's all, however you want to look is how you should train and how you should eat.
Well, and like you said, after this podcast, you're going to train. Are you always training in the evenings, or do you do morning trainings as well?
I do both.
Is today a 2 a day?
Every day is a 2 a day. No, not every day. So no, but no, I actually typically like to do cardio first thing in the morning when I wake up. I don't think like fasted cardio is like if you do fasted cardio, you burn a lot more fat. I just do it for time, like efficiency in my time. If I wake up first thing in the morning and get cardio in, it's already done. I kind of get the wheel spinning. I get some motivation because I did something hard. I'll have my first meal. I like to work all day, so I just maximize my output mentally. And then when my mind doesn't work anymore, I go exhaust my body in the gym, and that's it.
So I'm happy you brought up fasting. So when it comes to fasting, I haven't fasted in probably 2 months, and there was a point last year where my brothers and I were doing it pretty consistently. So I'm due for a 24-hour fast here soon. But here's the thing, Michael. I don't want to. What do you do in terms of days that you're fasting? I don't want to weight train that day, right? I feel like I need to fuel my body. Days that you're fasting, are you lifting, weight training, doing anything physical, or what is that regimen like on a
Yeah, so
fasting day?
Yeah, good question. I mean, your liver stores amino acids. So your liver stores amino acids that help you to repair your muscles. So you're not going to be in a catabolic state if you're fasting and working out. But typically, if I'm doing a 24-hour fast, I will actually train right before I break my fast. So that at least after my meal, after my workout, I'm getting in a meal. But you can work out. I mean, you have stored glycogen as well. You have stored energy in your muscles. Unless you've been eating nothing, you're going to have protein stores from amino acids. You're going to have carb stores from glycogen in your muscles. You'll have energy to do it. You're not going to go in a catabolic state. However, if you're doing an extended fast, I think at that point it is possible that you'll start breaking down muscle tissue if you're doing, I would say, more than 2 days of fasting and you're doing resistance training, because you're breaking down so much tissue. Your body needs it for recovery. Your cortisol is probably going to be through the roof as well.
And I've just been like, I started lifting end of my freshman year of college. Since then, I'm in like I don't know if it's brainwashed is the word, but I'm just such a believer in you got to consume protein. Like you have to when lifting. So the thought of getting in a crazy workout and then just going home to drink water and coffee is like, I'd rather like go for a walk.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think on a fast, like if you are going to fast, I think to do it on like a recovery day or when you're doing like, a recovery cardio and stretching is honestly more advantageous than do like a heavy resistance training session.
Copy.
Yeah.
Copy. So another thing about cardio, Michael, is hot yoga cardio.
You know what? No, it's not. No, it's just hot. Yeah. It's like that. That's like saying sauna is cardio. I don't think it's cardio.
Now, are you into doing yoga classes?
I despise yoga.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Just I don't like being around other sweaty people. No, I'm joking. I honestly I've tried yoga. I'm not like I'm definitely open-minded to modalities. I'm very curious because I don't just take things that other people have opinions about and create my own opinion based on theirs. I want to create my opinion based on my experience.
Mhm.
My experience with yoga is something that I don't enjoy. I've done hot yoga. I've done room temperature yoga. I've done one-on-one. I've done group. I've done vinyasa. I've done flow. I hate every minute of it. I just don't enjoy it. Yeah, I can't put my finger on it, but I don't enjoy just being in a room where I'm stretching for an hour with other people. I would rather just stretch alone.
That's fair. That's fair. And so you've mentioned in previous podcasts, you're not that big of a stretcher. How do you stay loose?
Good question. Probably genetics. No. So part of it is I do active stretching during my workouts. I'm really big on full range of motion. So whenever I'm doing push-ups, squats, pull-ups, bicep curls, triceps, I'm stretching the muscle through the full range of motion, and I that helps to lengthen the muscle actively. So I'll do some stretching. I also get sports massages every couple of weeks. That definitely helps. I definitely would call myself out and say I could benefit from stretching more, but I'm doing okay. I'm doing good.
Yeah, we could tell you're looking pretty good, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
Clients are looking good. You're doing good. It's good to see. Another thing about something I'm curious about, nicotine consumption. I don't actively or ever really consume nicotine. These not the vapes, but the Zins, right? There's nootropics, right?
Yeah.
I don't really understand that world. Would you recommend Zins and nicotine pouches to your clients, or if they're not on it, you'd rather them not get started?
It's an interesting topic because I think there's a ton of misinformation around Zins and nicotine pouches. There's knickknacks. There's all different brands that are coming out now because it's definitely trending, and like the use of cigarettes has actually declined, but it's only declined because the use of vaping has increased. And I think there's more contraindications with vaping than there is with like other nicotine products, specifically Zins, knickknacks, Lucy's, which is like a nicotine gum. And the problem is when you're inhaling anything into your lungs consistently, especially with a vape, which like if you're vaping, you're consuming anywhere between 100 to 200 milligrams of nicotine a day, which has detrimental effects on your central nervous system and even your mood regulation. But with something like a Zyn or like a nicotine pouch, which is typically between like 2 to 3 milligrams at the lowest dose, if you're doing like 15 to 20 milligrams a day, I think there's actually more positive benefits than negative. Of course, everybody's metabolism and body and genetics determine how they metabolize things. So just like with coffee, some people can drink coffee. It's a drug and they feel great and they can do it all the time and they're fine. Some people can't drink it because it makes them feel terrible and anxious, right? But nicotine has a lot of cognitive benefits in regards to neurodegeneration, in regards to memory recall, in regards to mood, in regards to focus. And studies have also shown that it's non-carcinogenic. So it's not cancer causing. In nicotine in its freest form as a nicotine salt is not cancer causing, and it actually has cognitive benefits as well. So it's not something that I openly tell my clients once they hop on a program, hey, use nicotine. But if somebody's like, if you're using Adderall, like Adderall is a synthetic methamphetamine, right, which has massive detrimental effects. You'd be much better off using something like nicotine in smaller doses for mental focus and mental clarity and cognitive function as well.
What are your thoughts on use of THC?
I think just like with anything else, if it's something that takes away from your life or if you're using it to escape, I think that's where we draw negatives from. But I think THC in general, I think when used intermittently or moderately, I don't think it is a very negative thing. Does it have like the acute benefits that nicotine does, or even long-term benefits that nicotine does? No, it doesn't, right? It's going to slow you down. It's going to slow you down a little bit more. But if it's something that helps to get your body into a parasympathetic state where there's relaxation going on, and you typically wouldn't have that otherwise, that's helping your body to recover. I'd much rather somebody do THC at night than a glass of wine or a beer or a shot, right? So pick your poison. Something's going to kill you.
No doubt.
On the topic of cognitive benefits, can you tell our listeners about Methylene Blue? I know I've started taking it as of a couple weeks ago, and it has both, cognitive benefits and has made me feel really good and energized in the morning. But can you elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah. Methylene Blue is, a trending supplement right now. It's funny. RFK, there's a video circulating around social media of RFK, which this is his hat.
Yes.
This is from RFK.com, Make America Healthy Again, which I love. But he was shown in an airplane. The video was actually taken in September of last year, and he was dropping a blue liquid into water, which is actually methylene blue. And the reason you take it on a plane as well is it reduces oxidative stress, because typically when you're flying, you have more oxidative stress, inflammation in the body. But methylene blue is a supplement. It was originally created as a medical dye. Scientists were doing some research on some cells that had malaria. They dropped the methylene blue on the malaria cells, and sure enough, it was the first thing that they saw that actually cured malaria. They're like, okay, that's crazy that it did that. Let's try to see, let's test it and see what else it does. And then they realized that it has so many other benefits as well. It's antiviral, it's antifungal, it's an antidepressant, it has anti-anxiety benefits, cognitive function. It improves your cognitive function. So what it does is it increases the amount of oxygen available in your mitochondria, which is the powerhouse and the energy of the cells we learned in school. So if you have any cells that are lacking oxygen due to oxidative stress, inflammation, or damage, specifically also brain cells, it actually improves the amount of oxygen to your brain. So you'll see some benefits in regards to mental focus, clarity, mood, and even memory recall as well. So you'll see a lot of people synergistically taking, like, nicotine and methylene blue actually work well together for cognitive function. They like synergistically work together, but yeah, methylene blue is an incredible supplement. I think it's I was introduced to it from one of my best friends. He's a pro MMA fighter, and he had his orbital shattered, and he had a massive concussion in one of his fights. And he's one of the most intelligent people that I know. So he did a deep dive on brain health, and he was studying how to heal his brain because he was in this mental fog for like a couple weeks after his fight. He came across methylene blue. He started using methylene blue, and within literally a couple days, color started getting brighter. His mental clarity started coming back, and it was like the concussion never happened. And he was like, okay, this is crazy. Did a deeper dive on it. He's like, this is something that I want to create for the world. He started a methylene blue company 2 years ago, and it's blown up to be one of the most successful methylene blue companies. He's done over 3 million in sales over the last 2 years, all organically. And that's how I got introduced to it, because he's like, hey, you should take this. Funny enough, I've had some concussions myself from football and boxing. As soon as I started taking it, immediately I got benefits. And I think that it actually healed some of these cells that I probably was lacking oxygen to in my brain. So,
Well,
Wow.
you're clearly very knowledgeable. Outside of having great friends that refer you things like that and give you that information, where do you get information, and what are some of the places our listeners should go out to seek this information on their own?
yeah, I do. You know what recently I've been getting information from is ChatGPT.
Oh,
Believe it
yeah.
or not.
There you go.
Dude, ChatGPT is incredible. The sourcing on there, where they source information from is great. But, there's for a while, like a podcast in the fitness space, if you want like no BS knowledge, of great podcast is Mind Pump Radio. I started listening to that when I was like 20. Great podcast. Somebody who I always looked up to as well as Lane Norton, BioLane
Yes.
on Instagram. He's super smart. There's a ton of other guys in the space. And I also am on Twitter as well. Health Twitter has a ton of great
Oh, yeah.
information. So anything that I'm interested in, I typically do like a deep dive myself, and I'll go look at studies. I'll put it through ChatGPT. And I'll get feedback that way.
Well, and you mentioned Lane. I like Lane a lot. He's a fucking beast, but he's lifting really, really, really heavy. Is that sustainable?
I think he's been injured a couple times. No,
I don't know.
Yeah.
You would know better than me. I like him though. He's very smart.
no, he's a great guy. No, he's he's combative, but he's very smart. He's a smart guy. He calls people out on their shit, but I think he's been injured a couple times. But he's a power lifter.
Yeah.
Like any power lifter you talk to, they're going to tell you about their injuries.
That's so unappealing
Yeah.
to me. Like you said, this is a long game. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
hurt myself on a PR. Do you
Name
squat?
name a power lifter that's been around for 50 years still powerlifting.
Doesn't
You can't.
happen.
It doesn't happen because they get injured or they realize, hey, this is not. But hey, more power to you if that's what you want to do and you're passionate about. It's just like NFL, right? Like you can only play at the running back position for so long because then after that, there's so many injuries add up, right?
Yeah.
I do squat. I do barbell squats. Yeah.
And I don't ever squat. I'm a leg press guy. Or I don't deadlift either. But what are you looking to do with squats? Are you just going for heavy reps, 20, 25 reps?
I love volume on legs. I love volume. I built my legs from volume squats, 20 reps, and sprints. Those are the two things that built my legs.
Sprints have been discussed a lot lately in this community, this podcast, health, and fitness community.
Yeah, I love like HIIT training and sprints. I think it's phenomenal for your body composition. It's phenomenal for your hormone health. It's phenomenal for fat loss. Efficient. Yeah.
Now, outside of the gym, do you play any sports, pickleball, golf, anything else?
I play pickleball with my mom every Sunday.
There you
Oh,
go.
nice.
Well,
Yeah. You're on the
Me-
same
that's-
team?
That's my recreational. No, I'll play against her. I want to crush her.
Did she ever beat you?
Yeah, she's beat me, bro. I'm the one that got her into. My mom's 65 and she works from home and she was lacking some social activity. So I got a membership to Lifetime, paid for some one-on-one classes, and now she has a group of 65-year-old and 70-year-old women she plays with every Sunday.
That's
And
awesome.
Oh, she plays 3 times a week, actually. I play on Sundays just because that's when I'm free.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great activity, especially come out with the
It's
we play
fun.
with our mom too.
Yeah, dude.
Although
It's fun.
she's yet to beat us.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you're like, you don't even let up at all. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, another thing, I've been very bearish. I used to drink them in college, but energy drinks, Celsius, C4, Rain, things of that nature. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends how you're using them. I think personally, like for me, coffee is what I do. I don't do energy drinks. I just like I'm actually drinking a coffee right now. I could drink this and I'll still fall asleep at 9:30. Totally fine. But I'm not drinking 3 energy drinks a day. The carbonation can affect your gut health, and typically there's a lot of other artificial ingredients in some of these energy drinks. So I'm not a massive fan of energy drinks, and typically the people that I've seen that drink energy drinks are have some either their body composition is in a good place or their energy is trash, and that's why they're drinking energy drinks.
Well, I was gonna say that you see a lot of people doing the energy drinks who aren't even working out. They're just going to their job and they need an energy drink.
Yeah, it's because they're not getting the nutrient dense foods that they need. And so they're supplementing it with artificial energy instead, right? Like if you're eating, I just love the taste of coffee. So that's why I drink it. And I work like a madman. But if you're eating nutrient dense foods, you're going to naturally be able to sustain higher energy. I've had quite a few clients that were like, hey, I don't even drink coffee. I don't need it anymore. Right. But I think a lot of people rely on energy drinks because they're not getting in the right foods in their diet.
Yeah, and I can speak from experience. Before joining your program, I was taking, I think the scoop was 320 milligrams of caffeine in my pre-workout at 4 a.m. every morning, and then getting back from my workouts and still having 2 to 3 cups of black coffee. Ever since being on the program with Michael, I haven't had energy drinks, and I probably only have 1 to 2 cups of coffee. And it's definitely due to the nutrient dense foods, but also sleep, which I think is a good topic to jump into now. Michael, can you tell our listeners about the importance of sleep, whether it's beneficial for fat loss or muscle building or increasing energy?
I mean, yeah, you nailed it, right? I think sleep is an overlooked aspect. I think more people though have trouble falling asleep and staying asleep than anything else, but that's also very lifestyle related, right? Not enough people are getting sun. Not enough. Too many people are just on their phones. They're getting this artificial blue light that reduces REM sleep. They're also not eating nutrient dense foods. They're not getting in enough exercise. Like literally resistance training and cardio influence better sleep patterns. It aligns your circadian rhythm. Getting in 20 minutes of sun a day helps you to have a healthier circadian rhythm, which means your body's ready to go to sleep at night and ready to wake up in the morning. So there's so many, ultimately living a healthier life will help you to get better sleep, cutting out alcohol, any other stimulants or drugs, that could potentially be affecting your sleep. But if you get poor sleep, I mean, it's affecting your cognitive function, your mood. You could create low testosterone, hormonal imbalances. Your inflammation in your body is higher. Your ability to build muscle is lower. Your growth hormone is lower. You'll look older quicker. You're more susceptible to disease. You're not going to lose body fat as efficiently. So that is, I think, probably top of my list in regards to things that are important in regards to overall health and wellness and well-being and performance.
So it sounds like sleep is really important, but that's just not the full piece of the puzzle. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about recovery modalities like red light therapy and the sauna?
Yeah. So for me, I picked up red light therapy last year, and it's something that I wasn't really, there's so many things that come and go, cryotherapy, and a couple other modalities that, came and went, right? And red light was one of those that I was like, we'll see what happens with it. Then I actually did it. I looked into studies, and there's conclusive studies that show not only the benefits from infrared light on recovery, but also sleep patterns, circadian rhythm, hormonal health, mood and well-being. So it's something that I use. I use a red light, infrared light specifically. That's a certain wavelength of light that penetrates deeper than skin. I use it to help with my sleep because I'm not always getting outside. My goal is to get outside every day for 20 minutes. So infrared light is an incredible modality for sleep, hormonal health, recovery. It helps you recover from your workouts. I think Saunas are an incredible modality as well. You get the heat shock proteins. It's going to help you to build muscle. It's going to help you to actually sleep better. It's going to help increase your lifespan as well. I think cold plunges are good. I just don't think they should be used every single day. I think the use of cold plunges has skyrocketed, but I also think that it's overrated, because when you're doing a cold plunge around your workout, it actually reduces your ability to recover from that workout, because you're stunting your body's natural inflammatory processes. So that I'm not as big on the cold plunge modality specifically, but yeah, I mean, there's sauna, infrared light, cold plunge. I think another powerful one that doesn't get enough attention is grounding. Like connecting your feet to the earth actually has benefits for your parasympathetic nervous system, the side of your body that relaxes you and reduces cortisol. And then also like deep breathing and meditation. I've experimented with some breath work over the last few months, which I always found actually improves the way that I feel and my mental clarity. Even meditation, which I have a harder time doing, but those are great recovery modalities, I would say.
So, Michael, of all these different recovery routines, if you could only choose one of these routines, which recovery would you choose?
Red light.
Interesting. It's funny you say that.
Infrared light.
Our mom goes to red light multiple times a week. She's got like as many times as you want to go a month package. She's been into that way before it was popular. It's so funny.
It's going to keep her young. Yeah. I mean, it helps your skin health. It helps your hormone balance, your sleep. And for me, I like it because it's the easiest to implement. I can do it at home in the comfort of my home. I can do it whenever I want. I mean, the next one up for me would be sauna. And I've actually debated about putting a sauna on my upstairs patio. I think the sauna would probably be my second favorite. I still implement cold exposure every single day. After I get done with my hot shower, I'll end it with like 30 to 60 seconds of cold exposure. And I think acutely cold exposure is better than 3 minutes in a cold plunge, personally.
Aren't there red light infrared saunas?
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, two birds, one stone.
Two for one.
You have an infrared sauna, but yeah. Definitely infrared sauna is probably the gold standard of recovery.
Okay.
Like by far.
I've never been to one. I my gym has a sauna, so I'm like probably 3-4 times a week. I love the sauna, dude. It's just like, it's a battle at the end too, right? That 20-25 minute mark. You're like, Merrick, you said you were gonna do 20 minutes. You gotta do 20 minutes. You gotta fucking stay in there. And then that cold shower after hits different too. But it is a very rewarding feeling when you do get out of there. Michael, let's talk about creatine here real quick. I'm gonna give you my personal story. I'm 170, 175, lifting 4-5 times a week, including yoga. How many grams of creatine a day should I be consuming?
You're completely healthy, no issues with your organs.
No, correct.
Do you drink alcohol?
I do.
Okay. Something that I would reduce, but regardless, the reason I ask, the reason I would ask is so creatine can be taken from 5 to 10 grams. So we need to make sure we're drinking enough water when we're taking creatine, and that's why I asked about your organ health, because at 5 grams you're in a great position and you should take that on a daily basis. At 10 grams you're in a better position. You can successfully and get more benefits from taking 10 grams than 5 grams, but you also can't be doing other things that stresses out your organ health. And that's why I asked about the alcohol.
Yeah. So I always have drank a lot of water. For the last over a year now, I've been doing 5 grams every day. Recently, I began implementing more like 10 grams. Like today I did 2 scoops. So it's slowly, some days 5, some days 10, but I'm definitely consuming more. And I'm getting stronger. I'm not putting on weight, but I'm definitely getting stronger in my lift. So I think
definitely
it's working.
noticeable.
Yeah, completely noticeable. And everything, I'm tracking all my progress. Everything's measured in my notes app. So I see where the reps are going up or the weight's going up. So I think we're doing something right over here, Michael.
Yeah, and creatine has cognitive benefits, because creatine is helping you to produce more ATP, which is energy for your cells, and your brain has ATP in it as well. So when you take 10 grams of creatine, you're also getting cognitive benefits in your brain outside of your muscles.
Well, and from what I understand, it also benefits your sleep.
I'm not as familiar with that. I should probably study up on that, but yeah.
Okay. I mean, listen, I see the same. I just see the shit on Instagram and TikTok. I've done no not reading peer-reviewed journals, but I
Yeah.
have seen some of that stuff. So
I'll have to, I don't think that's the main benefit for creatine. I think there's definitely some other needle movers, but maybe that's
I
one of the
think
byproducts.
on the topic of supplementation, I feel like creatine is obviously most studied and mostly suggested, but are there other supplements that you would suggest to, people getting started in the gym, whether it's to benefit muscle building or just to get nutrients or vitamins in? Like, what are your top 5 supplements that you would recommend?
Electrolytes would be number one. I think those are underrated and underutilized. We need potassium, magnesium, calcium, chloride, and sodium to transfer water in and out of our cells, which improve your performance in the gym and also help you to build muscle. You could drink all the water in the world, but if you're not drinking enough electrolytes, your water's not going to go where it needs to. It's also going to improve the way that you feel, mental well-being. So electrolytes would be number one. In no particular order, L-carnitine is also something incredible to add into a supplement stack, specifically for building muscle and losing body fat and hormonal optimization. It actually improves your body's ability to utilize testosterone. It also increases your ability to burn through fat as well. So electrolytes, L-carnitine, glutamine is actually also really good for recovery as well. And you can do glutamine in 20 grams a day. Some people take 5 grams, 10, but you can take glutamine at 20 grams a day. It's going to help you recover in your workouts as well. And then I also I think I don't do pre-workouts, but vasodilators are also great to be able to utilize for the gym because it increases the amount of blood in your muscles. The more blood in your muscles, the more performance you have. Also, your ability to build muscle will increase. So the number one vasodilator for me is L-citrulline. L-citrulline at 3,000 milligrams, 3,000 to 6,000 milligrams before workout is tremendous as well. I think that's about it off the top of my head.
nice. Appreciate you dropping some knowledge there, Michael.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you one final question. Given our audience is primarily aged anywhere from 18 to 35 years old, so and primarily young men. For any young man listening to this, what do they need to do before even considering marriage?
Before considering marriage, you need to have a strong sense of purpose, and you need to, as cliche as it sounds, like you need to validate yourself before seeking any validation from somebody, how somebody else makes you feel. And the only way that you can do that is through pushing yourself to be your absolute best every day, maxing out in every area of your life, and experiencing challenges. I think that if you align with somebody that matches your values, great. But I think a lot of men preemptively get in relationships that aren't good for them, and they don't realize that because they just haven't grown enough or experienced enough. So I think it's just being completely connected to being the best version of yourself before trying to get put your purpose into somebody else.
Is there anything that you feel you still need to do before taking that leap?
No, I just haven't met the person that would align with what I'm looking for in a wife or a mother of my
Correct.
kids.
It's like the John Mayer song, "Till the Right One Comes."
Yeah. So it's for a while it was like, oh, I need to be in a financial position. I think if I really wanted to make it happen, I could, right? I'm still growing as an entrepreneur. For me, I'm very invested into my growth. And I think it's very easy for me to say right now, it's not the right time. But if the right one came, I'm not going to say, no, I need to grow my business another $1 million before I marry you.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Ready to roll.
So,
yeah, Michael, this has been a lot of fun. Before we officially wrap up, I'd like to finish this off with some would you rathers.
Okay.
Let's
Awesome.
do it.
Would you rather have soft hands or weak legs?
Oh, like what do you mean soft to the feel or soft in general?
Both.
Honestly, weak legs because I can cover them up with joggers.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Would you rather be consuming 24 Diet Cokes in a week or 12 beers in a week?
Man, that's a tough one. 24 Diet Cokes over 7 days. So we're talking about an average of 3.5. Probably the Diet Cokes, dude, because alcohol is terrible.
Would you rather read 100 books or listen to 100 podcasts?
Listen to 100 podcasts.
Would you rather consume white rice or brown rice?
White rice, without a doubt.
Why?
Brown rice is trash. Brown rice, if I can say it, it has a husk on it. That husk contains phytates. Phytates bind to nutrients and make them less digestible.
All right, no more.
Would you
brown rice.
rather consume fruits or vegetables?
Like for health or just overall?
Health.
Vegetables.
Really?
I don't like eating vegetables, but I do it because it's good for me.
Interesting. Good answer. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I would definitely choose fruit. I love fruit. And
Yeah,
it's like a dessert. I'm not a dessert guy.
Yeah.
That's my dessert.
Yeah, and it's good. I mean, I think fruit is great. It just doesn't have as much fiber for you. So
Awesome. Michael Bloom, any final messages here as we wrap this thing up?
I think we covered a lot. I appreciate you guys having me on and was happy to drop some nuggets for everybody as well. So thank you.
Yes,
No
it was a lot of
doubt.
fun.
Bloom?
Yeah, and I think one thing I'd add is if you're looking for more support in your fitness journey, whether it's through nutrition or through lifting, don't hesitate to reach out to Michael. Not only will he change your life, he'll educate you on the importance of, nutrients and dialing in the gym, which in turn will increase your energy, the way you feel mentally and physically.
And Michael,
Love it.
where can everyone find you?
Instagram is where I'm the most active. So Michael Sheedy Fitness on Instagram.
Awesome. Michael, this has been a blast. Appreciate you dropping some nuggets. And we are excited to make this a reality very soon. God bless, guys. We will see you next Monday.
Thank you for having me.